Right guys, so plan for this video is essentially we're adding a collection system in. We're going to add it so that you can pick something up that's in the environment, it destroys it and it registers that and adds it to a collection score. I'm going to do this in 3 parts because I'm going to do the main collection and setting it up so that you register score and you've got like an end amount of score and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to show you how to set that up with the load level trigger, so that you have to have a certain score before you can load the next level. And the other thing I'm going to show you is how to make that work with the trigger objects we've made. So essentially you have to have a certain score and then you'll get to a point where you've got to get 30 score in level but 10 to get past the first door, and when you've got 10 this door will trigger and open, that kind of thing. So just going to get cracking really. Nothing's changed since the last time we were in. I'm still using Visual Studio because that issue's persisted. I probably need to uninstall and reinstall Unity at some point. So to start with, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab a cube, put this into level. Put this kind of near the floor. I'm not going to put a script on this just yet. I will towards the end put a script just so that it's constantly rotating. That's just a 1-line piece of code, but it just makes it more obvious that that's something that I should interact with. So start with, I'm going to go in and add a tag. The tag I'm going to add is collection. I'm going to save that so I know exactly how I've spelt that when we get on to the actual scripting side of things. I'm going to add the collection tag to it, and I'm going to change the box collider to be a trigger, because obviously we need to trigger this and then it's going to do something. So from that I just need to jump straight into the code. We know what the tag is, we know it's going to be called collection, but to start with we want to set a public integer, and this is going to be collection score. Right at the start we want to get the collection score and set it to 0, because we don't want there to be an issue or a bug somewhere along the lines where the score comes in and you've already got enough to complete the level or whatever. It's just a way of checking. We shouldn't run into an issue with it, but it's just a good way of checking that. So make sure you've got, just in the start function, the collection score. Obviously the collection score is up here. It's a public integer, not because we're going to change it, but because we need to check that. The other thing I'll probably add this now just because we may as well, is a second public integer, which is I don't know, score to gain or something like that. So that's just going to be something we set to say, right, when this score is this, do this thing. So there we go. Right, so what I want to do, I want to jump in. I'm going to just paste that there just so I know exactly how that's spelt before I copy this thing from above. Paste that. As usual, there's no point trying to set up a whole new tag system thing when we've got one there. We can just delete bits out of. So yeah, this is what we've got so far. So if the whole if other.compare tag, so if it's collection, yeah, bloody we know what's working. So what I'm going to say is, if I hit that, collection score equals collection score plus 1, which is fairly self-explanatory. You could set that to, you could have a couple of different collections and you could change the score. So that's why I haven't done it in different ways. Anyone that's used ways where you can just put collection score plus plus and all that kind of stuff. This is just so we can have a variable score that changes. The other thing I'm going to do is I am literally just going to say destroy other, so that as soon as we hit this, it destroys it. As soon as we hit the box, it adds to the score and then destroys the box. Because if not, you could just keep hitting it and gaining score, and then that's just kind of pointless. So yeah, this is not, nothing too difficult, nothing that you shouldn't be too used to already. And what I'm also going to do is, in the fixed update, I'm going to set up a new if statement. I'm not going to do anything with this if statement just yet, because this is where the second videos will come in. But essentially what we're saying is, if collection score equals score to gain, then do this thing down here is what it'll say. Sorry, equals. Actually, no, equals or is greater than would probably be a better shout, to be honest. which is actually spelled done like that. So yeah, what we're essentially saying there is if collection score is greater than or equal to that, then we do this thing. So in here is going to be what to do when collection score is finalized. Just for future reference, commenting code, if I haven't mentioned it already, put a double / and you can write whatever you want. It won't affect the code. This is just so I can come back to this later and know exactly what's happening and what's going on there. So far so good, essentially. We haven't done anything that's too difficult. What we want to do is click onto give it a second just to load that script in. So you'll see here we've got our collection score and our score to gain. So let's say 10. What I might quickly do is just jump into here and I'm just going to say, so just for the time being, just because we don't have anything to put into there yet, what we're going to see is that when we kind of gain the relevant score, which will happen as soon as, hopefully, when I land, I run into that should destroy, and this should say in here, oh, you've done this, it all works. Right, let's try it. Let's jump in, give it a go. So I should hit this and it destroys. Oh, there we go. It's not destroyed, but it's actually worked. And this is simply because I'll show you why that's happened in a second. I'll pretend I did that on purpose. So as you can see down here though, collection score and score to gain is 1. We've hit that and that's complete. Yep. Before I come out of play mode, I'll show you what's happened here. So you can see on the cube now, we've hit this and it's not destroyed. But if you look in here, what it has done is it has destroyed the box collider. And what I want to show here is essentially, just because we're playing with game objects in here doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's referencing. So this should be other dot game object. So it actually destroys the game object and not just the box collider like it's just done. So a quick switch of this, let's give this a second, clear that, jump in. Now you should see that when we hit this now, this will destroy. There we go. And also, we've got the complete line. It's added 1, and obviously score to gain is 1. So one last little thing. This video is quite a long one, but I'm going to make a very quick script on the cube itself. So I'm just going to make a C# script, and I'm going to call this spin. 2 seconds. There we go. So open this up in MonoDevelop. Ignore. This is one variable, one line of code. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to reference a variable for speed, public float speed. I'm going to set this to 10, just because I want it to always be the same. I don't want to have different spinning values or whatever. So I can just set it in there. So in here, it's quite easy. We just have to set this up to work with a transform, which is being really daft for some reason. Don't know why, but I just know it'll work. So transform dot rotate vector 3 dot up, comma. We need to reference speed times time dot delta time. Make sure you've got the correct casing in here. I'm not sure why that didn't autofill for me, but that's still the correct code. So if I jump out of here now, I add this to the cube. Set the speed, obviously the speed set to 10. And what we should see is that this is moving. You could change it if you wanted to. You could set it to 100 if you really wanted to, make it really fast. So what we've got now is we've got a cube that spins. When we hit it like that, it adds score, and we can do what we want with that score. So this is where I'm going to leave this video, and the second and third videos will be a lot shorter than this. This has nearly been like 10 minutes or just over 10 minutes. I'm going to show you what to do with that if statement that we did and how to make that work with lots of other areas and other things like that. So yeah, thanks for that, guys. Hopefully the video wasn't too fast paced, but we got a lot done in there. Cheers.